the water that our people are drinking in Odana and in our reservation is on a 50-year recharge cycle, starting in the Penokee Mountains. And from a groundwater perspective, that is not negotiable. This is the recharge station for the groundwater aquifers underneath the reservation. The groundwater that our people are drinking is on a 50-year journey. That all starts as surface water in the Penokee Mountains, trickling through down into the groundwater aquifers, and of course our reservation, our tribe, our nation is dependent upon that.
When you think about Lake Superior, you know, you talk about other pollutants. Canada's got a lot of mining going on with their own regulatory processes. You got the Michigan stamp sands that have redefined the shoreline of Lake Superior over there with black dirt that has kind of a leaching effect to it, unhealthy. Just like we're acquiesced into talking about groundwater contamination so easily, the other thing that happens with a lot of these mining projects is that each one's considered on its own environmental merits. When really, when you look at Orvana Copperwood over in Michigan, about 65 miles from here, they acknowledge impacts to Lake Superior. The mountaintop removal in the Penokee Mountains with GTAC would have impacts to Lake Superior. Northern Minnesota impacts Lake Superior. Canada impacts Lake. No one wants to take a cumulative footprint view or consideration in the permitting process. Look at these little beautiful little birds right here. No one wants to take that kind of cumulative footprint view of the impacts to what is essentially an unbelievable resource, and that's Lake Superior. And you know, again, sustainably and just from something that makes sense, if it's all ending up in the same body of water, you'd think you would start looking at things from a cumulative standpoint that measures the total environmental impact and ultimately the footprint on this resource here.
Raise your hand if you started your day this morning by walking outside to the nearest body of standing surface water and bent down and drank deeply to quench your thirst. There will be nobody that raises their hand. And it's actually sad, but it's true. We don't drink surface water. The notion that we can so easily be acquiesced into talking about potential contamination of groundwater aquifers down to 1,000 foot deep is unbelievable to me. And I think following that misguided logic, it must go to figure that we can go somewhere else and get our water. Well, my response to that is, this is Lake Superior. We are in the stronghold of fresh water for the nation, maybe for the world. The notion that we go someplace else to get water, unbelievable. To Arizona, where John McCain, the Hopi and Navajo are battling over water rights. To Oklahoma, where they're battling over water rights. Maybe to T. Boone Pickens, who's been buying groundwater aquifers down around Texas, or Ted Turner, who's been buying groundwater aquifers. We are in the stronghold of fresh water, and Wisconsin is poised and positioned to capitalize on that for here to eternity if we choose to do so. Our take is essentially the Penokee Mountains are unmineable from a groundwater perspective because we will not even entertain the thought of groundwater contamination. We depend on that. The other thought process about water is hydrological fluctuation. Taconite mining and the dewatering process with a hole in the ground that is 4.5 miles long, 1/4 mile wide, and 1,000 foot deep is an incredible thing to think about. If you've ever dug a hole in the beach by a lake or something, you know that that hole fills up with water. That is the challenge with open pit mining, and the process to remove and extract that water is called the dewatering process. Now we start talking about impacts to the surrounding area. Wetlands drying up, lakes going dry, water table, overall general water table in the land going down to where maybe private homesteaders who have private water wells no longer have water in their wells. And if you think that's far-fetched thinking, again, there's legislative points in the failed mining law that stripped landowners of recourse against mining companies if their water wells went dry. There's an incredible impact from a water-based perspective, hydrologically speaking. Now, what does that mean for our reservation? We're already under drought-like conditions across ceded territory. You can see inland lakes looking like they're drying up. Even Lake Superior's been down in recent years. Some of our riverways are down. We're already experiencing that just as a result of climatic change, right? Does that mean the source and the center for the water drainage to our reservation is dry? Does that mean we're going to look at apocalyptic hydrological fluctuation, meaning our rivers don't have water to sustain things like right here, the Bad River Falls, one of the last remaining naturally occurring spawning areas for lake sturgeon on Lake Superior. They need a certain amount of water, these big 5-6 foot fish, to spawn. You know, if we're looking at all of a sudden our whitewater rapids going to a trickle because of the types of mountaintop removal activities that are taking place directly upstream, those are again non-negotiable for us and are signs that we are not doing what we need to be doing to sustain ourselves.